Welcome to Letters from New Zealand. I am John Jarvis. From the end of the 19th century, New Zealand had been isolated from the wars it took part in South Africa, Europe and the Middle East. The exception being the threat of a Russian invasion in the late 1890s. Disappearing guns had been mounted at key points around New Zealand's major cities. Disappearing meant after discharging, recoil would lower them back to their bunker where they could be reloaded and wound back up. Unfortunately, soon after they were completed, the invention of high explosives and air-bursting shells rendered them obsolete. We had been visited by submarines and armed merchant cruisers in World War II. Mines were laid in Wellington Harbour. They're still there. And the Hauraki Gulf, where they sunk the liner Niagara, along with gold bullion later recovered. Army's history is littered with expensive items never used and later auctioned off. Given that the purchase price is 1/10 of the cost of the item's user life, one can estimate this waste of money. I will never forget the embarrassment when I picked up an American Defense Department official at Waihuru Station. He was here to help with the M41 tank's 76mm ammunition. The US had given us 10 tanks, but we had to buy spare parts and ammunition at top dollar. We passed the tank park. He remarked on the size of the tank museum, holding mostly Valentine World War II light tanks. And he opened the window and said, "Gee, I have never seen a Centurion Mark I tank before." The Queen Alexander's Armoured Regiment has been downsized to a squadron, and they now drive armoured cars. New Zealand is not good tank country. Our army has a habit of buying too much of the wrong equipment. The Navy has had to reduce its fighting frigates from 4 to 2, and the Air Force has finally given away its plastic-wrapped Skyhawks. Not all new planes are necessarily better. The 60-year-old anti-submarine Orions are being replaced by the latest models, but they cannot use non-tarmac runways. Stones, dust and leaves get blown into their composite propellers, damaging them. Up-to-date electronics have reduced the crews from 4 to 3. New Zealand has won the Pacific Anti-Submarine Spotting Trophy more than any other competing countries. The telltale wakes and disturbances are usually spotted by the fourth crewman. So what changes need to be made to make New Zealand Armed Forces more effective without multi-million-dollar rockets? Fiji did it their way. when they bought brand new World War II Lee Enfield 303 rifles at bargain basement prices. Arms dealers were desperate to shift them to end-user certificate holders to make way for the last service rifles before the assault weapons. New regiments were formed, and they were almost continually marched around the islands, living in tents and being fed by the locals. Employment plummeted and morale rose. When serving in UN peace forces, they were allowed to keep their pay, but the extra UN payments were pocketed by the government. Fiji's economy continued to grow. The New Zealand Army has currently a regular force and territorials, dubbed the Cut Lunch Commandos. They are out of date and should be replaced by expanded SAS units, which could take time given their failure rates, and all other units trained for peacekeeping duties. Leave the Navy and Air Force as it is for now. What we have the capability to do is construct our own observation satellites. New Zealand's economic zone is one of the largest in the world, covering 4080,750 square kilometres. Satellites can cover this vast area much cheaper than aircraft and ships above and below the water. We have the means to launch them. Skylab launches rockets for NASA. We have the technology to design and construct small and medium drones. The war in Ukraine has proven their effectiveness. Finally, when Germany had to raise a new army, they considered reusing the Wehrmacht model, which had the reputation of efficiency and capability. They chose instead the Bundeswehr, the People's Force. Perhaps we should consider doing the same. Thank you for watching. Please tick the subscribe thingy at the bottom and keep in good health.